it does that. Okay, just hit record. So thanks everyone for joining today. So we are talking about specifically focusing on the sacral chakra today. And we're focusing on awakening the sacral. The reason why I love this topic so much is because I mostly work with women. I actually find that this has got to be one of the most common areas that tend to be blocked within women the clients that I usually see. So I think this is an amazing opportunity to really focus on the sacral and focus on an area where I feel like so many of us have disconnected from, and I'll go into that in a second as well. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to hand over to Chiara later on, and she's in the second half of this, and she's going to talk to you guys and show you some practices and working with that. And I just have to say, Chiara at the moment is halfway through her second pregnancy. So we are all so blessed to have a pregnant lady running this with us today. You know, when someone is pregnant, right, and their womb's she's got the whole universe in her womb, which is so, she's in her full feminine right now. So that is such an honor to be sharing this space with you, Chiara, and I know all that the energy of that is just going to radiate through everyone. So to be running this and talking about the sacral with you during this time is very special indeed.
Thank you so much. That's so beautiful.
Chiara, I'll get you just to introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, my name's Chiara from Blue Mama Wellness, and I'm like Loretta. I love the sacral chakra. I think it's a really beautiful space that a lot of us really do need to tune into as women. You know, it's our center of creation, sensuality, sexuality, and again, birthing. So, you know, whether that be birthing a little human being or you're birthing anything into the world, creativity or business-wise or whatever it might be. So it's a really important one, but as well as that, like Loretta's going to go into now, it's also really great for us when it's our emotional center as well. So a really nice one to really tap into and just learn about, you know, and that's what I'll be taking you through, how to use yoga and mindfulness and sound healing and crystal healing to really ignite and create that beautiful energy into the sacral. So I'll see you a little bit later on.
Thank you. Thanks, Chiara. So let's get into it. Basically, what I believe, and a lot of the things that I've read and experiences that I've had with other clients as well, with the hundreds of different clients that I've seen, mostly women, although men also have a sacral chakra, and there are a lot of issues with them as well. But what I've found mostly is that because of our society and cultural impacts, a lot of the way that we live our lives today as adults as well, and how we've been brought up, has really impacted in terms of having, you know, creating blockages and closing off and disconnecting from our sacral area. So let's talk a little bit about what areas are governed by the sacral. So I'm sure some of you are already aware of this, and probably why you've jumped on as well, because you've probably already got some sort of interest in it already. But let's delve a little bit deeper. So the sacral, we start to develop the sacral around about that 1-year-old mark, and we keep going till, you know, 2 years old to about 2 years old. So what is happening in that time of our life is we're actually starting to really get to know ourselves on an emotional level, right? So we've kind of moved away from the primal needs being met, you know, the safety, security, and that sort of stuff, and we're coming into our own. And although the solar plexus is our center of our identity, the sacral actually begins building those foundations. And so what happens is we start to really, our development of our emotions is happening around that time, right? And if you think about the child itself around that age, what's happening is things like, I was at the park yesterday with my girls, and and there was a little boy, and his mum went, "Oh, he's having a 2-year-old temper tantrum," and we giggle about it, but it's absolutely normal because children are experiencing emotion, and really big emotions, at this particular time, and they don't actually know how to regulate them. And the thing is that what the caregiver's response is really either going to help or hinder the development through that, right? So for example, if we're told when we're angry, and you're told, no, don't act like that, don't behave like that, that's wrong. What you very quickly learn is, it's wrong to be angry, right? And it's wrong to show anger. Same thing with sadness. Oh, don't be such a crybaby. It's not a big deal. All of that sort of stuff. Don't. If you're crying, it's like, get over it. Go on, get over it, and all of that sort of stuff. So think about, to a child, what's being set up there. What kind of foundations are being set in terms of how they're going to deal with emotion as an adult. And I can tell you now that what's happening at that time is the child doesn't understand analytically what is actually being meant by that, or whether something, they don't even have the ability to see whether something is right or wrong. All they see is, because they're very self-centered until they're about the 7-8-year-old mark, they just think they're the ones that are wrong or bad, or it's not the emotion or the way that they're actually expressing it, but it's actually them. Think about our language when it comes to emotional development. Very often we say things like, I am angry, right? Now, I come from an Italian background, and many other languages also adopt this, but in Italian, what we translate, instead of saying I am angry, is we actually say I have anger. Think about that for a second. Now, if you grow up saying, I am angry, what does that say? What are you saying to yourself? Right? It's starting to really create, it's setting those foundations for creating your personality, right? And your identity and who you are. Whereas if we could adopt, I guess, that different sort of ideas from other languages, which is more about the I'm experiencing, I am feeling anger, or I'm feeling sadness and things like that, it's got this incredible ability to change even our relationship to emotions, and realize that we're not actually our emotions, right? They're just something that we experience. And if we are able to, that's right, they just wrote, you start believing you are anger. Yes, you do. You start believing you're an angry person. And what happens is, over the years, right, you start to believe, oh, this is just what I do, right? Or when I'm angry, this is just how I behave. And you start justifying things like that. And this is where we just, we just become complacent with, this is how we are. Or this is just how it's been. I've got a friend, and I know she always says, when she feels anger, she just says, I just sit with it for a second, and then just put it behind me and let it go, and just keep moving on. Like, she thinks that if she just suppresses it, and that's the right way to deal with it, because she doesn't want to make a scene, or doesn't want to hurt the other person with talking about why she might be angry, and that sort of thing. So depending on the habits that are formed in these early stages of our life, it really has an impact on how we are as an emotional being later on in life. And this causes this pain, these blockages and imbalances in the sacral, because the sacral asks us to honor ourselves, right? That's the message from the sacral, is saying, please honor who you are, please honor yourself. and honor every part of yourself, right? As a physical, emotional, spiritual, sexual being, mental being, you know, as every part of your being. That's what the sacral is really gifting us, is that opportunity to honor who we are. So in order to honor our emotions, we must feel them, right? We must feel them, find ways to feel them and express them in a way that is really conducive for us and isn't going to harm us or harm another person. So in terms of expression, sacral brings me to the next point, which is sacral is our center of creative expression. It's very much connected to the throat chakra, even through the anatomy. I know I learnt this when I was, when I was pregnant. I remember my midwife telling me, if you want to give birth, and you need to relax your jaw, to relax your yoni, right? For your vagina to open, the cervix to open up, you need to actually relax your jaw. And I thought that was so fascinating, right? So actually the anatomy is they're joined in those particular areas. So if you can find ways to express your emotion, you're also doing yourself a favor in your throat chakra as well, I promise. We don't always have to communicate by telling the other person how we feel, right? There are other ways for us to express. And sacral gives us some hints into that direction by being our center of creative expression. So dancing, painting, moving the body, doing anything that's actually going to allow us to express in other ways, even journaling or, anything like that. So just trying to express in any way that we can. Coming back to even singing, right, is another way of expressing. Coming back to singing and dancing, another reason, that's another example of how society really shapes and really influences us in that area. Because think about our Western culture in particular. How many of us feel judged by if we're going to go out and start dancing or start singing in the middle of the street or something like that? We think, oh, I can't dance well, or I can't sing well. You feel like you don't actually have that permission, right? We're trying to seek that validation from people outside of us, whereas a lot of other cultures, that's their way of life, right? And it has been for years and years and years. They just sing and they dance, and that's their way of dealing with a lot of things. I know a lot of African cultures actually dance when, they dance when someone passes and they're celebrating someone's life, and they dance when, things are really bad, but also when things are really good. It's just a really big part of their day-to-day life. And singing, thinking about this the other day when I was picking up my daughter at kindergarten, and they sing so much. They sing so much at kinder. It's like, just sing. No one cares. The other children don't judge them whether or not they can sing or not. And no child does not sing. They all just get into it. Some of them like it more than others, of course, because, we have different interests and passions, but there is not one of them that feels like they can't if they didn't want to, because of some sort of self-criticism or self-judgment. It's amazing. And in our adulthood, we've really started to adopt those that judgment, right? And that those ideas of criticism. Anna has said, I got to get back into dancing growing up Greek. That's all we do. Yeah, it's beautiful, right? We do it as a culture. Yeah, food, drinks, and dance. Yeah, absolutely. So it's true, right? A lot of cultures do love dancing and singing, and it is something that I feel like we don't do enough of, or don't honor enough of as well. Another part of another aspect of the sacral that I believe culture has really had an influence on is, just coming back to the emotions, is the ability to be vulnerable, right? Now, this comes back also to our very masculine-centered culture, right? Even thinking about the fact that we, to be vulnerable is seen as being weak, isn't it? Right? In a lot of our workplaces, it's like you don't get far if you're vulnerable. It's like, don't show weakness, don't show any of that, emotional feminine side of you. It's like, no, just, you've got to be a hard ass, or you've got to show that you're strong and to be successful and all that sort of stuff. So it's another real area. And another one that's confusing is sexuality, right? So our sacral is our center of sexuality. And we are sexual beings. It doesn't matter how old we are, absolutely it doesn't matter how old we are. It's got nothing to do with that. We are sexual beings, and honoring that part of us is so important. Honoring the sexuality and honoring our sensuality as well, and intimate connection with another person and with other people as well, having emotional connections, friendships, and also, intimate partners. But we are sexual beings, and sexuality, if you think about it as a culture, well, talk about confusing. On one side, you've got sexuality just being broadcasted across by, celebrities in raunchy outfits and just showing off their sexual body as if it's nothing sacred at all, right? And then on the flip side, you've got people shaming other people for their sexuality and calling them all sorts of names. And, if you wear skirts too short, then this and that. And it's very confusing, right? To know what am I allowed? How am I allowed to be? And what's acceptable and what's appropriate and what's not. I've got 2 little girls, and I think about this a lot. I don't have any boys, so I don't know. I'm sure there's, another side of that as well in terms of how to respond. But I think about it all the time. I think about, gosh, like, oh, should I just let her wear her undies with her dress and she's going to the park? And I mean, is that appropriate or not appropriate? I can't believe I have to think about this stuff, right? Like, I just want her to be free to be a kid and have play and all that sort of stuff. But we start thinking about that, and it's very confusing and very confronting. So I think sexuality is another, it's another area of our culture that really helps us to suppress that. Plus, let's talk about self-pleasure and sex itself, right? There's so much shame in that. And so many of us have grown up with shame about not just having sex too early, too late, not having sex at all, or having too much sex. And, there's all these different things going on, or how many people, or who it's with, or all those sorts of things. And then there's also the shaming about self-pleasure as well. Whether that's normal or not normal, and how much is okay, and as a woman, is that okay? Or, there's so much there where, I guess what that does as well is makes us sort of want to disconnect from that particular area, right? And that's really hard as well. And the thing is that as women, our sacral is our center of our reproductive organs, and the sacral is not a place to be ignored. I mean, this is the center of our creation. So if you want to manifest anything and you want to birth anything into the world whatsoever, whether that be a child, a business, a new car, and you're cooking something for dinner, whatever it might be, when you are birthing something and creating something, you are needing to connect with that part of yourself, because you are a creator. You are a creative being. That's part of who you are. And our center of creation is in our sacral. So if we are disconnected from that area, or if it is blocked or wounded, then you can be sure that is being manifested in other areas of your life. Who feels like what I'm saying is resonating? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Lois suggested, so then for the women who survive sexual abuse, most likely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, sexual trauma has, it has, I mean, no trauma is as simple as, you know, it's affecting this area or that area. But absolutely, absolutely, when it comes to sexual abuse, for sure, it's going to have an impact on the sacral, but on other areas as well, as you can imagine. But you can see that a lot, and it doesn't have to be as traumatic as sexual abuse. As I said, it can be as you know, as little as you know, maybe a parent always telling you that you've got to cover up this, or you've got to, you know, don't show this, or don't do that, or don't, you know, it's little things that might have been said when we were younger, right, to make us feel like ashamed for being who we really are. What are the signs that it's blocked? Great question. So there are many different signs, but the first one would be if you already feel disconnected physically to your sacral area, so located under the navel area. Many of you can tell already, because if you feel like even placing your hands under that part of you, like on your pelvic area, already triggers you in some way or another, or you feel disconnected to that, that's a really good sign already. And you don't have to, I want to talk about obviously the sacral is where your womb is located. Now, that doesn't even have to be your physical womb, right? Because I know women who have had hysterectomies and you know, all sorts of things like that. The energy, we're talking about the energy center. So it doesn't matter physically what's in your sacral area. But if you're already feeling disconnected from that area, that is a really good sign, first of all. So even just placing your hands, and if that's already like, oh, I don't feel comfortable, or it triggers something, it's a good sign. Another one is even just getting triggered by touching yourself, like mindfully. You know, how often do you caress yourself? Like, I'm talking about, you know, when you get out of the shower, or in the shower, and you might just be lovingly caressing your body and honoring your body, honoring the physical part of who you are, feeling comfortable dancing, moving, singing, like creating, all of these beautiful things, and honoring again that you are all of these sorts of things, that you are sensual, that you are a sensual being, and feeling comfortable with that. Physically, it can manifest as things like PCOS, infertility issues, lower back pain, lower intestine issues, anything, reproductive organs, anything to do with that part of your body physically as well. So it can have issues. And when it gets to a physical manifestation, it's usually quite bad, right? Because our first signs of manifesting of blockages are usually the emotional part or the mental part, and that sort of thing. But if it's getting to a point where it's already manifested as something physical, it's really, that is your body's way of saying, please give me some attention, and telling you that something is wrong here. That's what's happening in that, when that's happening, when we have a physical manifestation of anything, that's what your body is telling you. It's a message for you. I had a client who she had prolapse, right? So you guys know what prolapse is, and she's only in her 30s. She hasn't even had a vaginal birth before. Nobody could understand why she prolapsed so early, and for none of the reasons that they could understand. And we had a healing session, and I said to her, when was the last time you looked in the mirror? And she said, I don't even have a mirror that shows me more than my head, basically, and my shoulders. She's that disconnected from her body. can't even look at her body because she's so repulsed by herself. It's heartbreaking stuff. Now, when stuff like that happens, I can tell you why she prolapsed. Why did she have prolapse? Because she's so disconnected from anything from the shoulder down, right? And her body is saying to me, if you disassociate from me, and if you're going to neglect me, then we're neglecting you as well, right? So we have this responsibility, right? We have a responsibility to love and honor ourselves and to work out what part of ourselves needs that from us. We can't wait and look for something outside of it. We can't wait till we're skinnier, or, you know, till this happens or that happens, or when I get pregnant, or when I don't, when I have the baby, or, you know, all of that sort of stuff. You can't wait for anything. We have to just meet ourselves where we're at right now, because you need you to show up, and you need you to do the work right now. So honoring our body is such a big part of it. It's a really big part towards our journey of self-love, but also creating our identity and really feeling confident within ourselves. This is all part of that journey. The last part I want to mention about the sacral is, and another reason why so many of us are blocked, is it's our center of pleasure, of passion and joy and playing, just having fun. And there are so many of us that forget just to have fun and just to do stuff for no reason other than to have fun, just for joy, right? Who cares? Who cares if we're not busy, or we don't you know, we're not in progress or growth phase all the time. You know what? I'm just doing this because I love it and it feels good. And that's really, you know, another thing that we can learn as children, right? Think about a 2-year-old in their development of their sacral. What's the most important thing to a child at 2 years old? Play. They just want to play. Everything in their life revolves around playing, right? And we lose that. The older we get, the more we lose it. The less we play, and we keep thinking that we've got to be doing something all the time for a certain reason towards reaching a goal, or reaching, you know, progressing in some sort of way, and that it doesn't look like success, or we're not doing the right thing, or whatever. We always have either these criticisms or judgment, or perceived criticism and judgment, these stories that we tell ourselves, that just having fun and laughing, or, you know, the other day I had such a good laugh, you know, it was 2 days ago, like crying, my belly hurt and I couldn't stop laughing, and, you know, while I was eating lunch and nearly choking on my food, and it was so good. I was like, oh my God, it had been weeks, I think, since I'd really laughed that way, especially at the moment, right? A lot of life around us is really somber, and it just was so nice to have a good laugh, and I just realized how much I really needed it and missed it. And it was, of course, it was over the most silliest things, but when you give permission to just let yourself let go and flow with life, right? You can't schedule in a good laugh. That stuff just happens. And that's how most of life should just be, right? We can plan as much as we want, but really the most beautiful parts of life happen in the moment, don't they? They're experienced in a single moment. And that's where we experience joy as well. So trying to find times in our day where we can experience true joy, true pleasure, and just let go is really, really important. It's a really important part. So if you're being, another way that you can work out if you're feeling blockages as well, is the emotional aspect, right? And also that play aspect. How often do you are you allowing yourself just to let go, just to be creative for no reason? Just to, just to play, just to have fun for no reason. And how often are you feeling like you're really expressing and sitting with your emotions? Now, I find it really hard. I know some people are really good at sitting with their emotions. I'm not one of them. I have to work really hard at it. You know, I'm going to blame my my astrological birth chart. If I can blame anything, but I'm all air, right? I am air sun sign, air moon sign, air rising. So I have a lot of air. So air signs are we're mental, we're intellectual, we're logical thinkers. And so feeling doesn't come easy to me. So I have to work at it. I have to work even harder than someone who's maybe a water sign or something like that. But I know how important it is. It's important for all of us to feel, to really feel, and to feel in our body and to feel connected to our emotions, because it's such a big part of who we are. So that's basically the sacral. And I'm going to hand over to Chiara. Please feel free, as I said, if you've got any questions or you want to write any comments. And Chiara is going to take us through some practices now to help us really open and connect and reconnect with our sacral. But let me know if you've got any questions as well. Thanks, Chiara.
Beautiful. Thanks, Loretta. That was so beautiful. I could listen to you all day chat about anything. But yeah, that was beautiful. So much insight, so much knowledge. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to take us to the physical part. If you are somebody who really loves crystals and you want to bring a crystal into your space right now, even if you're not going to do the yoga, we're going to do a lot of sort of visualizations and meditations and stuff like that. So if you want to, any sort of orange crystal, I've got my carnelian with me, and that's what I'm going to use. You might have maybe a peach moonstone. So yeah, there's as well as that, there's Shiva Lingam and various different sort of orangey crystals. You sort of look at that color and you think of the sacral, because the color orange is associated to the sacral chakra. So let's just connect. We're going to set ourselves up with an intention and a prayer. So I'm going to say a prayer, and you can just close down your eyes and just listen to my guidance. And if you have your own sort of intention or prayer right now, please use that instead. So let's just close down our eyes. And if we're using a little tumble crystal, we'll just place it in our non-receptive hand, place our receptive hand on top, and just connect into the energy. So in your seated pose, close down your eyes, soften your shoulders, and lengthen your spine. I want you just to start to center inwards. So let's just start doing that by taking some deep belly breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Start to release and start to allow the thoughts to slow down and start to get really present in this moment, bringing prana, bringing energy into the body. In this moment, I allow myself to be open to creating a life filled with the playful, sensual, sexual, and creative energy of my sacral chakra. I am ready and open to creating a life filled with emotional stability and balance. I am ready and open to healing my womb space of childhood traumas or neglect. I am ready to heal and accept my inner child. I am ready to create a life beyond my wildest dreams. I am a creative goddess, fertile with the abundance of the universe. What I wish to manifest through my creative center will be created in alignment with my passions. So just breathing into all of that. And whatever you resonated with, it doesn't have to be everything. You might just resonate to one aspect of what I just wrote or whatever, just said. So whatever comes through you and really sparks your attention, that is generally what you are called to work on and work with. All right, so we're going to move to the mat. If you are moving to the mat, otherwise just feel free to watch. We're going to start to do a little bit of yoga. So if you're in seated pose comfortably, you can still do these few little moves. I just want us to do a little bit of movement before we do some holding poses. As the sacral chakra is the chakra of flow, so it is under the element of water. When we use this in yoga, we think about movement being fluid and flowy. So first of all, seated pose, crossed legs, long spine, soft shoulders. I want you to inhale and just scoop your spine back, open up, and exhale and open up your front body. So we're just creating a flow through the spine. Inhale, scoop back. Exhale, open up. So this is a really simple movement to do that we can do on the couch, or we might do it at our desk at work. It's a really lovely way to bring energy into the body, to wake up and enlighten our spine, which is a really important energy center throughout the whole body, physically, emotionally, and of course, energetically. Okay, now from here, we're going to do some circles. So again, you'll find that in seated pose, we're really stimulating into the ground through the root, which is our sit bones. And then moving that energy into the sacral here. So you'll feel that the lower back is really starting to release and open. We're bringing in that energy, we're bringing in that flow. Physically, it's really good for us if we do suffer from lower back pain. And then energetically, we're again just drawing in and igniting that sacral chakra, which is what it's all about today. Okay, come back into your center. Now that we've brought a little bit of warmth into our womb space, what I want you to do is place the soles of the feet together in your butterfly pose. Now in your butterfly, we're going to create a little bit of bounce through the knees. I want you to close down the eyes here and just breathe into your center. And release. And I want you to just visualize the orange light as you breathe in, traveling into your womb space, radiating through your legs, down into the soles of the feet. So each inhale draws through that orange light, through your crown, down your heart, down into your womb, down through the soles of the feet. Exhale, grounding your energy. One more breath. And release. Good, and then let's just pause here. Now you can dive down into your butterfly and create more space by just gently drawing weight into your knees. And that's going to open your womb a lot more. So it's going to create a lot more space for you. This is a really beautiful, expansive pose for the inner thighs and of course our womb space, our pelvis. So we're really drawing in that Shakti, that energy, that life force, prana, or whatever you wish to call it. It's all coming from that universal energy, that universal light, and just really guiding yourself. Now, what will happen sometimes is you might find that there's a bit of resistance here. So typically if you're very tight in this area and you might not be able to hold this, you might stay upright and just gently place your hands down, or you might just be here nice and tall without the pressure. So don't feel like you have to be down here. Okay, so guide yourself with what your body feels good, as well as that resistance being maybe physically tight. We might start to feel it's hard to breathe in this pose if we're holding on to a lot of sort of repressed emotional energy. So because our sacral is our center of feeling, if we're holding on to that sort of emotional stagnant energy, sometimes we can really find it tricky in these poses to breathe, to let go. So remember that breathing in the pose is all about drawing in the new prana, the new energy, and releasing the old. So if we're finding it hard to create that flow, then it's just really important to just really be present with it. So don't try to avoid or get out of the pose. If you can hold and just keep yourself breathing, even you know, just doing the best that you can, just really trying to move through that block. Okay, so we're just going to hang out here for just a little bit longer and close down the eyes and just really get present with what is. And again, just visualizing that beautiful orange orb of light. You might visualize it at your womb. Maybe you just see light in any form, shape, or any sort of way. It doesn't have to be. You just allow your visualization to come to you naturally. Good. And then just lift up and lengthen your spine here. Perfect. Okay, so next one, we're just going to extend the legs long. From here, we're stretching the legs nice and long. We're going to lift and then fold. All right, so a nice wide angle forward fold here. As we open the legs, we create a deeper space to fold into, so it creates that little bit more openness. Physically, again, this is really beautiful for the lower back. So physically, the lower back, of course, is connected to the sacral. So if we're feeling tight in the lower back, or we have lower back pains and strains, or hip pains like sciatica, this is a really nice way to create that open space and just to release that physically. And then again, energetically and emotionally, we're just really connecting with the breath, and we're just feeling into the pose and feeling what's coming through us in this present moment. Some poses will be easier than the others, or they might all be the same. So whatever it is just remember just to get really present and just to listen to what the body is telling you. Good, and then we pull ourselves back in. Perfect. And then lastly, we're wanting to move into probably one of my favorite poses for the sacral, which is our yogi squat. Okay, so we're going to come up onto the feet. So any squat that we do in yoga will ignite the sacral. So if you can't do yogi squat, you might be up here doing a little bit more of an open or higher squat. So don't feel like you have to get all the way down into yogi squat if that's just not what your body can do today. We're all at different levels, so just honor your body and where you are, okay? So in your squat, whether it's a higher squat, your goddess squat, or your deeper squat, which is your yogi squat, we want to sink into the pose. So really grounding us through the soles of the feet, widening up the knees, so widening up the inner thighs. And again, we're creating, so you can see that we've got that beautiful space of our sacral. This is a really popular pose that women actually birth in. So you can tell that how open it is, that your baby can actually come down the birth canal. It is the same energy and opening that we want for our womb. It's that beautiful flow, that beautiful essence of release and expansion, and just drawing ourselves into that beautiful alignment through the sacral. So I'm just going to close down the eyes and breathe into it. Now, if you're in a higher squat and you've been there for a while, just let your body release, because obviously you're using a lot more strength than we are in our deeper squat. So don't feel like you have to hold it the whole time. Just give yourself a nice forward fold release. So just a little bit longer, keep the breath flowing. Good, and then we will all guide ourselves up into a nice releasing forward fold. So this is really good after a squat, because it just helps us to release, and then guide that sort of flowing energy through the spine again, down through the crown, down into the ground, through the soles of the feet. Okay, good. So we're going to start to move into our more mindfulness and still practices. I would like you to choose whatever pose feels comfortable for you. So if you're sitting in your chair or you're lying on your couch, you can lie on the floor in Savasana, whatever feels comfortable for you. So if you'd like to lie on the floor or your couch, perfect. If you're sitting in a chair or in seated pose, that's great as well. I'll come back a bit closer. So again, let's just really connect into the body. If you're lying down and you're using a crystal, you can place it on your sacral. So just think about your pelvis, your womb space. And if you're in seated pose and you're using your crystal, you'll just place it in your non-receptive hand, have your receptive hand over it, or just open on your knees. So whichever way it feels good for you to connect, feel free to connect. Okay. So first of all, we're going to begin with a little bit of sound healing using the mantra VAM. So we're going to do a little bit of chanting here. If you feel comfortable to chant, you join me. If you don't, you don't. So even just by listening to the chant of VAM, you'll feel and you'll be receptive to its energy. Chanting, of course, brings a higher vibration. So please feel free to join in if you feel comfortable. Now, if we are chanting, what we do is we take a deep belly breath in. As we exhale out through the mouth, we'll create the syllable VAM. So V-A-M. And you can listen to me for a few and then you can join in, or just listen the whole time. Okay, so let's close down the eyes. Let's take a deep belly breath. VAM. 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 Ram. And then we just release that. We just allow ourselves to connect back to the breath, back to the body, back to this moment. I'm going to run us through a series of positive affirmations that we can practice when we want to ignite the sacral chakra. So I will repeat them, and then just silently in your mind, if something resonates for you, just repeat it after me. I express my feelings in a healthy way. I embrace my sexuality and my sensuality. I feel good in my skin. I lovingly accept myself. I am a creative being. I am in love with my life. I am passionate. I experience pleasure without guilt. I am fertile. I am abundant. I let go of childhood trauma. I let go of negative thoughts. I am in touch with my feelings and my emotions. I take care of my emotional needs. I am open to sharing my feelings. My feelings are the language to my soul. I nurture myself. I am a creative goddess looking to birth new ideas in all realms of existence. I am kind and compassionate. I easily allow myself to experience pleasure in my life. My relationships feel good. So moving now into some visualization. I'm going to guide us through a visualization meditation. So it's really nice if you are lying down or even in seated pose to just place your hands on your womb space and just really ignite and connect and spend this time just drawing in your energy there. Okay, if that feels comfortable for you. So we just start to pull back into the body, back into the breath. Close down the eyes if they're not already closed. I want you to visualize the prana as a stream of orange light. So when I say prana, I simply mean breath. I want you to visualize it as a stream of orange light entering through the crown and into your womb. Each and every inhale draws in the vibrant light of orange energy, orange prana. Each and every exhale creates a stronger, glowing orange orb in your womb. This orange light is the light of your intentions for healing. This orange light is the energy from spirit, which will heal your womb space and create alignment within. As you breathe into your womb, you are fueled with the orange, vibrant energy that creates fun, happiness, sensuality, creativity, abundance, expansiveness, and emotional stability. Stay with your orange glowing energy as you feel the orange orb vibrate within you. You feel that your heart feels creatively open and allows you to connect into this beautiful energy. You connect to the childlike energy of fun and play. You connect to your inner child. If, however, you are feeling any heaviness around this, then just let yourself just visualize that beautiful orange orb of light filling up your womb and radiating around your aura. This orange light is the light of sacral energy. It is vibrant. It is sensual. It is pleasurable. It is sexual. It is fertile. It is expansive. It's all of the things that you wish to ignite in your sacral, your creative energy center. In this orange light, you are safe to feel. You are safe, supported, protected, and held. And just envision yourself now in this cocoon of orange light. This cocoon of orange light which holds you, supports you. This beautiful space of vibrant orange energy. I want you to see yourself now. See yourself in a state of fun and play. What does that look like for you? Is it dancing? Is it painting? Is it playing with your children or having fun with your partner? Are you at the beach? Are you in your favorite space in nature? Allow your visualization to roam wild and free, and don't overthink it, just let yourself be. Allow yourself to be completely filled with the presence of this orange light. See yourself caressing and loving your body, holding your womb, connecting to your sensuality, your sexuality. Allow yourself to be all of these beautiful aspects of your being that you're worthy of being. worthy of being held in this orange light of vibrance, of passion, of fun. Allow yourself to be held here. Allow yourself to feel all that feelings, all that's coming up in this space right now. Maybe there's some resistance. Maybe you feel like there's something that's holding you heavy from having fun, or laughing out loud, or being creative, or expressing your sensuality, your sexuality, your passions in life. Allow yourself to be completely as you are in this moment, in this orange bubble of light. And in this last couple of moments, I just want you to affirm, what is it that you wish to draw into your sacral right now? What is the energy? Affirm that for you right now. I am that I am. And then slowly start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Start to pull yourself up into seated pose if you're not there already. Placing your hands to prayer and your prayer to heart. And thanking yourself for being here for you today. Thank your body, thank your mind. Thank yourself for this connection, this time, this sacred space. In this moment, send yourself love. Send yourself the most expansive and full love into your heart and into your womb. And know that in this moment you are enough. You are whole. You are complete. Bowing towards all your prayers. Lifting your head and opening your eyes in your own time. Namaste. Thank you so much for allowing me to hold space for you. Sending you so much love. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chiara. That was so beautiful. So, so beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, you touched on the importance of really thanking and having gratitude for yourself for making time for this today. You know, that is in itself a practice of opening up the sacral and connecting with your sacral, honoring your self-care, right? Self-needs. This is all part of it in honoring the self. So thank you guys, and doing it without the guilt. That's really, really important because we hold a lot of guilt in our sacral area. So thank you so much, Chiara. That was really beautiful. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed that. And as I said, I will send through the recording. So I'm sure I'm going to be playing that one again. Thanks, Chiara. I loved it. And I'm sure you guys might want to as well. Please let me know if anyone's got any questions before we log off. We've got a few minutes if you wanted to, but otherwise, I'll see you again all soon. And have a beautiful day.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend. Take care.